Mr. Rajakumar, it's good to see you again. And we thought we'd ask you a few questions about port development, but more importantly, port-led development. Could you start on that, sir?
Thank you very much. I think it's a very topical subject. I would like to also take you back to the fact that our country has a very, very rich maritime history. And this is also a fact that whenever we have concentrated on the maritime trade and maritime related activities, this country has prospered.
Yes.
So, one of the visions which is being envisaged by the present government is the program called Sagar Mala.
Okay.
And this is a program which actually covers the whole gamut of port and their development, port-led industrialization, connectivity to ports,
Okay.
as well as community development for people living along our coastline. So it's a exhaustive program, and we have been able to draw up a very ambitious national perspective plan for this program.
Okay. In that question, can I ask you two specific questions before you elaborate on that? A, what kind of employment generation will be there approximately, because that's crucial for the country.
Right.
And two, what kind of investments it will have? There's a third really question, what is the span of time that you're looking at?
Right. I think the first major phase we are looking at is 2020
Okay.
and 2025. And our calculations and the estimates of the consultants are that we will be able to generate employment of 40 lakh people directly,
50 lakh, wow.
and also indirect jobs to the order of 60 lakhs. So
That
this
is
is
mind-boggling. Yes.
considering the requirement of the country, I would say that
Especially today when we have seen a decline, yes.
yes. So it's it would be a major development towards that. And in terms of investment, I think there are two components to it. One is the infrastructure component, where we expect a total investment of about 4 lakh crores. These are related to the road projects connecting to ports. These are related to railway projects connecting to ports. These are related to port projects, and these are also related to the infrastructure which we'll create for setting up industries at these sites.
And 4 lakh crores, who's going to spend this? Government or private or both?
This has to come essentially from both the sectors.
Okay.
As you are aware that we have a fairly successful track record of PPP projects,
Yes.
both in ports and roads.
Yes.
And that has moved on well, and we intend to continue there.
Wonderful.
Even on the road side, in the recent steps which the Ministry of Road Transport has taken to solve various problems, this sector is now again looking up. They have come up with a new hybrid model for
Okay.
PPP.
Yes.
So we expect that a fair share of this amount is going to be financed either through PPP or through private.
Okay.
And the remaining amount will be funded by the government or government organizations.
Okay. Now, behind the hard numbers, tell us the bigger picture. What is it that you want to do?
Yes. As far as Sagar Mala is concerned, we have 4 components in it.
Okay.
The component number 1 is obviously that we have adequate port capacity. And when I say adequate port capacity, it means that in 2025, we should be in a position to double our capacity as it exists today. So we have made individual plans for both new ports, ports in the private sector, ports being set up by the state government, and capacity addition as far as the major ports are concerned. So this is one component where we intend to add another 1500 million metric ton capacity per annum. We presently have about 1550 million metric ton. So this would be doubled by in the next 10 years. The second is that we have 12 major ports, as you are aware.
Yes, sir.
And these ports have various assets, and we intend to fully utilize these assets so that the capacities can be enhanced in a brownfield situation, which is much more cost effective
Yes.
compared to greenfield.
Yes.
And in addition, we are modernizing, mechanizing these existing assets also,
Okay.
so that our efficiency levels can compare to the best in the world. So that's the second component, capacities and efficiencies.
Okay.
Now, as far as port efficiencies are concerned, we had last year hired a consultant which has come up with a set of recommendations after benchmarking our ports to the international best in their class ports.
Yes.
And they have given us 116 recommendations,
Okay.
which we intend to complete by 2019.
Not bad.
60 of them have already been completed, and this has given us an additional capacity of 80 million metric ton, which is effectively at no cost. And if we would have created this additional capacity, it would have cost us substantial
Huge
amount
amounts
of
of
money.
money. Yes.
And this has also resulted in a continuous reduction in the efficiency as far as the parameters which show that our ports are becoming more efficient,
Okay.
which means the turnaround time that has reduced to 3.5 days, which used to be 5 or 6 days earlier. We intend to bring it to 3 days this year, and our productivity has substantially per berth enhanced, and all the major parameters by which we measure port efficiency have improved.
Wow.
And we continue to do that in future also. The related second component is, because you are aware that almost 40% of our exports, they originate in the central and north India.
Yes.
And unlike a couple of other countries, most of our industries are not really at the coast.
At the coast, yes.
So therefore, we have to look at hinterland connectivity and improvement of connectivity of the ports. Now, as part of this program, we have identified 82 road projects and 28 railway projects. Now, I am very happy to say that the Road Transport Ministry has been very supportive of our program,
Excellent.
and they have committed that they would fund all these 82 road projects,
Not bad.
and that program is being done up. For a large number of these projects, they would be done by NHAI, which is almost 50 of them. Balance 30 are to be done by state PWDs and other organizations. So, these will also be incorporated under the Bharatmala program,
Okay.
which the Road Transport Ministry is now envisaging.
Yes.
As far as the railways are concerned, again, out of 28, they have been able to commit that 21 of these projects they would be taking up. So, they have also been a great support to this program, and we expect that these two components, actually out of that 4 lakh crore I mentioned to you,
Yes.
almost 1,50,000 crores is going to be these two projects between road and rail. And road department is also going to do 10 expressways under the Sagarmala program, which would be a major development as far as the road sector is concerned.
Excellent.
In addition, because railways is normally interested in doing large projects, and that is where they think most of their work is.
Yes.
The last mile port connectivity we found used to be neglected. So, for that purpose, the government and the shipping ministry, we have set up a dedicated vehicle, which is a new company, and that is called the Indian Port Rail Company, and they would be doing these last mile port connectivity projects, including improvement in the existing rail projects with major ports.
In the previous NDA government, we introduced a port interconnectivity program on a PPP basis? The classic one being the Adani rail connectivity.
Right.
How would this be different from the old PPP?
See, the whole concept is that
Yes.
what can be done by private sector or what can be done by PPP, we need not take that up.
Ah, okay.
But anything which is residual,
Yes.
and there are projects which are residual, that is something we need to ensure that they get done,
Which is critical, yes.
which is extremely critical.
Yes.
But there are a lot of times that this kind of a situation arises.
Excellent.
So those models which railway has given, for example, the non-governmental railways or an SPV route, they are all going to be available. And
Yes.
any port which wants to set up these joint ventures would or can do it. In addition, we can also support some of these projects by equity support
Yes.
through another vehicle which the government has created especially for Sagarmala,
Yes.
known as the Sagarmala Development Company. This company can take up equity position in various projects to make them viable, or where the equity being fully paid up is stopping from implementing the project.
Yes.
The SDC can take up those projects. So we expect that with the support of the state governments, with the support of the various ministries of Government of India, with the support of the private investment, we will be able to achieve very good results in the next couple of years. And we intend to take up the residual projects by the Sagarmala Development Company and the Indian Port Rail Company.
Excellent. Just one question. At the central level, you've got the ministries where cooperation is relatively easy, I thought. But when it comes to dealing with states, getting states to agree with a program that the center has, how easy has it been?
I think there are two components of it. As
Yes.
far as the institutional structure is concerned,
Yes.
there is a Apex committee for Sagarmala,
Okay.
which is headed by the Minister for Shipping and Road Transport,
Yes.
Mr. Gadkari. And there are similar committees which are set up at the state level, chaired by the Honorable Chief Ministers of the respective coastal states.
Okay.
So within the state, this Apex committee, chaired by the Honorable CM, will oversee the coordination.
Excellent.
As far as the Apex committee headed by the Minister for Shipping and Road Transport, Government of India is concerned, all the Honorable Chief Ministers are members here.
Oh,
All the ministers which are related to the Sagarmala program are also represented here. So there is an institutional mechanism
for total
for
coordination.
total coordination.
Okay, brilliant.
Having said that, I would say that as we have seen for most of the government programs, the state governments have their own set of priorities. Some of the state governments are comparatively more proactive. Therefore, we will see early results there. But this, to my mind, is a game changer as far as programs go.
And employment, which is politically and socially relevant.
Absolutely important
Yes.
and relevant for the country. I'm sure that all the states would join in with their full enthusiastic support, and ideally we would prefer that the program is driven by the state governments.
Yeah.
That leaves me with two more components of Sagarmala.
Okay.
The thing where we'll get most of the employment
Okay.
is port-led
Development,
industrialization.
yes. Industrialization, okay.
So for that, we have come up with a concept of the coastal economic zones. And here the idea is that a swath of area along the coast will get linked to a major or a private port, which will then become the fulcrum of development around which industrialization and other important activities will be planned and implemented.
Port-led industrialization is a critical aspect of growth because all developed countries have the heavy industries next to ports. In India, the problem is land. How do you overcome that problem?
I think we have found that there are a lot of areas which are close to the coast
Okay.
where we which is available,
Oh, wow.
and we have plotted that.
Okay.
And in association with our Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion,
Yes.
DIPP,
The IPP.
we intend to take this concept forward.
Ah,
Because
excellent.
that is what the broad plan is, and this is where most of the jobs are going to come. Now, one question which normally arises
Yes,
in
sir.
this port-led development model is, given the global scenario that it is not as conducive as it used to be
For international trade.
prior to 2008,
Yes.
is it a good idea to do that at the moment? So, we had this matter examined in great detail. And what we have found is that if we move goods coastally, they are much cheaper than moving them.
By road or by train.
And for a lot of industries, for example, cement, steel,
Which Ambuja
power
had done
plants,
long time
which
ago. Yes.
Ambuja has shown, power, Tamil Nadu
Tamil Nadu
has
has
shown,
shown.
because they have been moving coal through the coastal route for a
Yes.
very long time. So, we have these successful models available.
Yes.
They can be improved, but if you look at the whole logistics chain in the country,
Yes.
which, as you are aware, is probably a major bane for all of us, with almost 19.5% of GDP
Being lost in that, yes.
is lost in that. I wouldn't say lost, but needs to be halved actually.
Okay.
So, from that perspective, it makes sense, even from a domestic industry perspective, that there are a lot of industries which we
Along
can
the coast,
cite
yes.
along
In
the
any
coast.
case, we need imported steel because the total capacity will not meet our requirement. For imports, at least you can reduce the cost.
Or let me put it other way around. Today, the cheapest way of carrying iron ore is through slurry. From the mine, you have a pipe bringing it to the port,
Yes.
convert into pellets, transfer it wherever you want.
Absolutely.
So, to that extent, it makes a lot of sense to have your plant
Close to the port.
not at the mine head, but at the port.
Yes.
That gives you so much of flexibility. Whatever coal you need for the steel plant,
Yes.
you just get it there.
True.
Unload, it goes into your factory. So, we have, after a lot of detailed study, come up with this aspect that port-led industrialization in these coastal zone is essential, and that's where we expect most of the jobs.
From various people, almost a year ago, we believe that the ministry wants each major port to develop about 200 kilometers, 100 on either side, along the coast. Now, A, is this true? B, if it is true, 12 major ports into 200 is 2,400 kilometers or 7,500 kilometers, a commendable achievement and a very impressive plan.
So, as I mentioned to you,
Yes.
that each of these 14 CEZs which we are planning,
Yes.
they would be linked to one port or the other.
Okay.
And from that perspective, this is the size of a CEZ which you mentioned.
Yes.
Therefore, either a private port or a major port would be linked to this exercise of a CEZ.
Okay.
So, to that extent, your information is correct,
Okay.
that one of the ports will actually be the fulcrum around which these development will take place.
Okay.
And I'll come to a very important aspect, which is the fourth
I was waiting for that.
component of
I was just waiting for
Sagarmala,
that.
which is community development.
Okay.
Now, if we develop a coastal area but do not take care of the coastal communities, I think this whole concept of development
Will
would
collapse.
not be complete.
Yes.
And therefore, we have taken up a few programs as
Yes.
far as these coastal communities are concerned. A number of them relate to the activities of fishing.
Okay.
So, fishery development along with the Department of Animal Husbandries and Fisheries is something which we have taken up, both on the infrastructure side as well as on training and improvement of fishing practices. So, we are in close coordination with our sister ministry here to take up this program in a big way. The second is skilling, because if there are opportunities in that local area, and if we are not able to identify the skill gap and train these people in the intervening period, then the opportunities will not be available to the local people.
Yes.
So, we have already got a detailed study done for 23 districts out of the 78 coastal districts, and that final report would be available to us next month.
Okay.
And
That early.
then we will move on to the next stage of skilling these people.
Okay.
And we have taken all care that the recommendations correlate to actual job availability,
Yes.
rather than being a theoretical exercise. So, we expect a lot of action after December as far as skilling is concerned under the Sagarmala program.
Would tourism developer marinas and coastal what you call it, relaxation spots also come under community development? Would they come in the third part?
There are again, two components here.
Okay.
One component is on a larger frame, we are looking to revive cruise as a big component in the maritime sector.
But UK makes $4 billion.
Precisely. So, that is one area which we have not been able to tap into,
Yes.
and we are getting a complete blueprint made
Okay.
of where we can have the hub for these cruise ships, and not only on the ships, what can be the regional circuits, because there could be interest of people getting in Mumbai, going to Dubai, coming back via Lakshadweep and coming back, or Goa. Similarly on the east side. So, that is something we are planning, and we are also looking at 4 or 5 major circuits on the rivers, because we have on a small scale already some high end river cruises in Brahmaputra and Ganga.
Yes.
But that is something which we feel that if we do it with a complete chain in mind, this would have a tremendous scope for employment for the local people also.
Yes. And would unleash a huge amount of wealth.
And as far as the local communities are concerned, we have also identified various beaches which have a potential, which are not being used presently, but they could be, to begin with, a good employment generator for the local people.
Exactly.
This we will be doing in collaboration with the tourism ministry.
How will the ministry cope with the competition that is inevitably going to come between roads, which comes in the same ministry, and coastal transport, which is also the same ministry? Because obviously, when one gets developed, the second is going to face a little bit of competition.
I think considering that the size of the nation, considering the population of the country, considering that we are fully geared to grow at a fairly high rate
yes.
of growth, I think the demand on the resources for transport are going to go up.
Oh, so nobody will lose out.
Therefore, if the pie would not have been growing, I think your question would have been much more relevant.
Excellent.
But we are living in an environment where the pie is growing.
It's growing, yes.
And therefore, it is not exclusive. I mean, I'm sure that at the micro level, there might be some competition in the sense that somebody might feel that this should have gone or what not have gone.
Yes.
But I think the challenge for the coastal shipping at this moment, notwithstanding its low cost when it's on the water leg, is that the two ends are still not fully tied up except in some cases. And you mentioned rightly about coal in Tamil Nadu, or what cement companies are doing from Gujarat down south.
And what Maruti wanted to do from Mundra to, it didn't work out for a variety of reasons.
Right. But I'm happy to comment on that score.
Yes.
That we have relaxed cabotage, which is a restriction on foreign flag ships to come to our country and operate under their flag, for all kinds of specialized vessels. So, cruise ships, ro-ro vessels, ro-packs, all these specialized vessels, there is no cabotage at this moment. And as a result of that, we have seen attempts of people moving cars from Chennai and Ennore to Kandla.
Yes.
You would have recently also read in the newspaper that certain Maruti cars went in the National Waterway 1, which is from Banaras to Haldia.
Yes.
And they were able to do this journey in 6 days. And from December, this ship is going to be regularly carrying cars up and down Ganga.
Excellent.
Now, we had only last week a ship carrying cars from south docking at Cochin initially, then at Kandla.
Wow.
And 1300 cars were delivered in Kandla.
Not bad.
So, from that perspective, things are looking up.
Wow. Okay.
And we expect that these initial, what you call green shoots, are going to take a big shape in the forthcoming years.
Okay. Last year, the government, 2 years ago, the government created a special company to take care of developer ports overseas, the IPG.
Yeah.
Now, Chabahar was one of them, and I believe India is looking very closely at the possibility of developing a port in Tamil Nadu. No, in Sri Lanka, sorry. Can you tell me what's happening on that front?
Well, actually, it's our common endeavor that Indian companies should also look at options.
Yes.
And the private sector in ports in the country has done a tremendous job.
Okay.
Today, they carry almost 43-44% of the total cargo.
Which is impressive, yes.
Which is extremely impressive, and this is growing. So, we expect that some of these companies would also be associated with projects abroad. So, it is not only the Indian Ports Global which is tasked with the job of delivering Chabahar.
Yes.
I understand that things are moving exactly as per schedule.
Wow, okay.
We've had very fruitful discussion when the Iranian and the Afghani minister were here. And so Chabahar, I am quite confident, will be done in time.
Okay.
But we are also looking at other companies on the port side and in the construction side to take up positions and stakes in these kinds of projects.
In other countries.
In Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So, we are in association with them, we are encouraging them, and wherever required, the Indian Ports Global will also take a position.
But how many countries are you looking at? Number?
At this moment, we are looking at 2 or 3 countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done.
In addition to Chabahar, you are also aware that our company had done Sitwe port in Myanmar.
Yes.
So, it's not as if that we are foraying for the first time.
Everyone in the private sector, even though they're carrying 43% of the cargo, has been grumbling about TAMP. What are your views on TAMP?
Well, our view is that TAMP was created at a time when we were just embarking upon this journey,
yes,
which has been, as you also pointed out, fairly successful in the port sector.
It was. At one time it was.
In the late 90s.
Yes.
So, that was the time when we created TAMP. And at that stage, there was a need for certain degree of regulation of tariffs.
Yes, I agree with you there.
Because it was a learning experience for everybody. Now, our feeling is that in the major ports, there is a fair amount of competition.
Okay.
So, as a broad policy, the shipping ministry is of the view, of course, it is to be approved by the government, that probably we can now in future live without TAMP fixing the tariffs. Now, even today, I mean, the tariff which is fixed by TAMP works as a ceiling. And if somebody wants to give a discount,
lower than that, no harm done.
That is already available, and we have clarified that these discounts will be accounted for while fixing the various shares, etc. Recently. So, from that perspective, I think we should be able to take a final call on that. As
by
far
when?
As my expectation is in the next 2 months we must be clear.
That
on
early,
that.
okay.
Yes.
Not bad, because this is one area which there is a sector which believes that okay, it's outlived its original role, can be modified.
So, that is exactly what we are planning to do.
Wonderful.
That we will give them some kind of a review role. For the time being, those projects which are already covered by TAM, there would be a residual role for TAM to do, but in future we intend that the tariff should be set by the market.
Excellent. Mr. Rajakumar, thank you very much for this.
Thanks a lot.
It's an eye-opener because the ports are so critical to the country.
And I would only request you that, not only the ports, but we have declared 111 waterways as national waterways for navigation. So I would be delighted to convey this to you that we intend to take up about 30 of these waterways for development in the next 3 years. And you will see a lot of action by Shipping Ministry in the hinterland also because of that.
Many of the waterways in many places are full of water only during the rainy season, during the weather when the rains are there. Now the reason they go dry is because everyone's in pumping out water from the river because they've not invested in water harvesting, they've not invested in other methods. So are you working closely with the irrigation department to make sure that the rivers are not drained out?
You are right. I mean, I would say that the last couple of decades, navigation not being on the horizon, we have treated our rivers in a fashion
which we should not have.
Which we now find making them navigable is very difficult.
Okay.
But having said that, there are a couple of very interesting things which we are looking at.
Okay.
And this is from a commercial perspective.
Yes.
If I can carry a 2,000-ton barge in River Ganga, which is National Waterway 1, then with 2 additional handlings which come with a barge, I can now be in competition with railways. And when I say 2,000 tons in one barge, I am talking of 200 trucks.
Yes.
And 2,500 tons make a rake.
Yes.
So it's almost one train load. If I can carry for the given draft which the river has 2,500 tons, I can have a barge which can carry 2,500 tons. And I power it with LNG instead of diesel. Then I think this is something which we are aiming at, and we expect to be there in the next 3 years as far as National Waterways 1 is concerned. And once we have done this pilot,
you have a map.
then we have a map. And why I am saying 2.5 meters? Because our rivers are mighty. They cannot be tamed. You can only flow along.
Yes.
Therefore, the less you dredge, the better it is on the long term. And therefore, I need low draft, high density barges, which is exactly what we are designing.
Oh, you're designing it. You're not importing it from anywhere.
We are not importing it.
Wow.
Yeah. So we will design and get them built.
And you've got the people co-opted to do this.
We have hired a design firm,
Okay.
but we'll get them built in India.
Wonderful.
And you are aware that there is a government scheme which gives an incentive of 20% on the capital cost for all barges, ships and vessels. So we intend to make full use of that.
Excellent. This river project is going to be watched very, very keenly because we've misused the rivers and abused them badly.
Right. So I'm confident that out of these 111, we should be able to get at least 30 in the next 3 years, which we can find traffic and which can run viably. 8 of them we intend to take up within this year. So I think you would be seeing a lot of, and there are a lot of employment opportunities in waterways.
You know something? I'm going to come and meet you more often.
Okay.
And interview you more often.
Thanks a lot for this.
But yes, this is
compliment.
wonderful.
But this is an entirely new area which we are restarting and trying to go back to our roots, because in good old days, all traffic in hinterland was basically rivers.
Yes.
And
Till the British brought the rails in and they allowed the rivers to stagnate.
Absolutely. And you are also aware that Lothal has been the oldest riverine port in the world.
Yes.
So we have such rich heritage.
Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much.
Thank you very much for this meeting.
Thank you.